Then they made signs between themselves, the treasurer and the warrior. And the treasurer left the warrior and returned to that country. Now the treasurer certainly kept rebuking them severely over their evil way, in which they had become so abased in the desire of money that he could not lead them out of it, since they were already very deeply rooted in it. But nonetheless, since the prayer leader and the treasurer had talked with him very much, they had already become a little confused and kept saying, on the contrary, take us out of it, even though they still held themselves fast in their foolish notion and did not want to get out of their nonsense at all. Nevertheless, when they were rebuked, they kept saying, on the contrary, if it is indeed that we are mistaken, please take us out of the error. The treasurer replied to them, I will give you a suggestion. I know the warrior's power and from where he gets his strength. And he told them the matter of the sword mentioned above, from where the warrior gets his strength. Therefore I will go with you to the place of the sword, and by this you will be able to stand up against the warrior. For you will also get strength in there. And the treasurer's intention was, when they arrive at the sword's place, they will already be able thereby to return and get out from their desire of money. For by means of that way to sword, thereby a person gets out of the desire for money, as mentioned. The country accepted his advice and sent their magnates, who were gods for them, and they went together with the treasurer to the sword. And the gods, that is, the magnates who went with the treasure, certainly went dressed in gold and silver jewelry, since this was the main thing for them. So they went together, the treasurer and the country's magnates, whom they called gods. The treasurer informed the warrior of this thing, inasmuch as he is going with them to seek the place of the sword, and his intention is maybe he will be privileged to find on the way the king and his people. The warrior replied, I too will go with you. The warrior disguised himself so that the people going with the treasure would not know that he himself is the warrior, and also went with the treasure. They, the treasurer and the warrior, decided they would inform the prayer leader of this as well. They informed him, and the prayer leader replied, he will also go with them. The prayer leader went to them, and before he went away, the prayer leader ordered his people that they should pray for this, that Hashem Yisbarach should make their venture successful, that they should merit to find the king and his people, for the prayer leader used to always pray for this, that the king and his people should be found, and always used to order his people that they should pray for this. Now he wanted to go with the treasurer and the warrior, so that they should go together to search for the king and his people. He urged them even more to pray for it constantly, that they should merit to find him. The prayer leader came to the treasurer and the warrior, and there were certainly great rejoicing amongst them. Celebration and weeping as before. They all three went together, that is, the treasurer, the warrior, and the prayer leader, with the gods, that is, the country's magnates, who were called gods in their country, going with them. They went, and they came to a certain country, and there were guards. They were standing around the country. They asked the sentries, what sort of country is this? Who is your king? The guards replied, inasmuch as when there was the storm wind, at which time the world became separated into numerous factions, into the many opinions, as each sect had a different opinion, was mentioned, then the people of the country chose for themselves that the main thing is wisdom, and they took up for themselves a great sage as a king. Not long ago, they found quite an exceptionally great wise man, who was an extraordinarily very great wise man. The king relinquished the kingship to him, and they took him up as king. since for them the main thing was wisdom. The three of them, the treasurer, the warrior, and the prayer leader, said that it appears that this must be our sage, the king's sage. They asked if it were possible to be granted an audience with him. They answered him, it must be announced. They went and announced, and he ordered them to come in. The three of them entered into the sage, who had become king in that country. They recognized each other, for this sage was indeed the king's sage mentioned earlier. There was certainly a great celebration there, rejoicing and weeping. For they wept, how to merit to further find the king and the others. They asked the sage if he knows anything about the king's hand. He answered them that the hand is with him, but since the time that they had become dispersed by the storm wind, from that time onward, he does not want to look at the hand at all, because the hand belongs exclusively to the king. Only he had carved out a depiction of the hand on a stone in order to use it for a little while, to use it for his own concern. But upon the hand itself, he doesn't look at it all. They discussed with the sage how he had come there. He told them that since the time the storm wind happened, he went where he would go. As he went, he passed by everyone, king's people. Only by three of them, that is, by the place of the prayer leader, the warrior, and the treasurer, he did not pass by, till the country found him and took him up as a king. Now, in the meantime, he must guide them according to their way, according to their paralogisms, until later he will lead them to the proper truth. They talked with the sage regarding that country that had become so deluded about money, and they said if we had been cast about and dispersed for nothing more than on account of that country, in order that we should correct them and turn them to the truth, it would also be worth it, for they have become so deluded. Because in truth, all the aforementioned factions, each one had chosen its nonsense. This one wanted honor, this one murder, that they all had become deluded and needed to be led out to the correct purpose. Because even the sect that had chosen for itself that the main thing is wisdom, they too had not reached the true purpose and needed to be led out from that. For they were under the persuasion of foreign wisdoms and heresy. However, it is easier to extract people from all the follies, but these ones are so deluded in the idolism of money that they are so fallen into it that it is impossible to extract them from it.